Please give it up to Mr. Rob White.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to share from a spiritual point of view. And by the way, when I say that, I want you to know that money is spiritual. In fact, you might see on a dollar bill that it says, "In God we trust." I think you could put there, "In good we trust," when in gold we trust. Because you can do incredible things with money. You can beautify the planet. You can help people who are in need. You can educate the illiterate. You can also improve your lifestyle. And I'm someone who came from a small mill town fraught with thoughts of anger and alcohol and poverty. And right now I've got something to start this off. You may notice my new jacket still has its tag on it. And I'm going to tell you why. When I was 15, I was very poor. My parents were very much in debt and made it clear. They'd always even argue about the bread, the cost of bread. At 15, I was working in a gas station pumping gas, and I made enough money, $7.23, to buy a suede coat at a warehouse that sold used, old suede, not used or old, new suede coats that had a defect, but I didn't know what it was. I couldn't find it. I was so proud that I bought my first suede coat, something that meant maybe I could do more than what I was used to. I could have more than what I saw. But my friends would think it was used. They'd have to think it was used because my family always bought used clothes. So I had to leave the tag on it. I left the tag on it. My dad said, "Take the tag off." I don't want to take the tag off. My mother said, "Here's some scissors. It won't rip." I don't want to take the tag off. I wore that suede coat that whole spring. It was a spring coat with the tag on. See? It's new. Look, it's new. Whenever I buy a nice coat, I just bought this one for Easter, I leave the tag on for the first wearing. You see, I'm already playing with it in my mind. Always. Always. Paying attention to what I'm saying in my mind. To remind me that life is beautiful. I am marvelously made and destined to win at whatever I set my mind to. You and me are inseparable. I'm marvelously made and destined to win whatever I set my mind to, and I am worthy of all that is good and beautiful. Now, there's the big one. Most people don't feel worthy. Most people don't feel worthy. And when you don't feel worthy, I want you to listen to the first part of that. I am marvelously made and destined to win at whatever I set my mind to, and if I don't feel worthy, I set my mind to less than the best, and I shall grant that unto myself. I shall give myself permission, and the entire universe will cooperate with me. The entire universe will cooperate with whatever I set my mind to. So when I was 12, I was down in the flats. I lived in a small mill town. It's a ghetto town. Still is. 2 factories. Everyone works at the factories. Stevie Brown and I went down to the flats, and there were big edges in the springtime like this. Miller's River. The river starts flowing faster, and the ice cracks and becomes big wedges of ice along the side, and we were told never to go near the edges, and we would climb those pieces of ice and have a ball over. There I looked, and there was a deer, a female deer, and her hind leg was stuck. And I looked at her, and she saw me and Stevie Brown. She started yanking. And I said, "No, no, Stevie, don't. No, she's going to break her leg. Get help. Get help. I'm going to stay and make sure she's okay." So I looked at the deer, and I said to the deer, "As long as I'm here, you're okay." Well, Stevie Brown came back with the cops. He happened to run up the street and came back with a police officer. Now, back then, 50 years ago, a cop could take his gun out, and he didn't have to make out 40 forms, and he could shoot a deer if he thought it was right, and nobody asked questions. So this cop showed up with Stevie Brown, and he saw the deer, and he took his gun out, and I stood up. I was standing. The deer's 20 yards. I'm here. There's the cop. I stood up, and I said, "No, no, you can't shoot her. I promise you wouldn't get hurt." And the cop looked at me. and he saw that I was desperate. He said, you know, kid, I shouldn't do this. And he put it back in his holster and he said, I didn't see this. And he walked away. And by the time he did that, the deer had gotten her foot out of the ice and went up on the knoll, and Stevie Brown said, Bobby, look it, she's saying thank you. That's the first time I ever knew what it meant to be a word. 12-year-old little Bobby, up to then, was a helpless victim like everyone else with 1,000 excuses for everything that didn't work. Someone who whined, because that's what I learned. And in that moment, I had made a declaration, and I stood for it, knowing I could be in big trouble with my mother, my father. Certainly the cop wasn't going to throw me in jail. But boy, if he didn't report it, because that cop, that police officer he saw a young man wavering. For the first time, here's a young man who has a chance to stand for something that's important to him, and he was not going to be one to destroy that. That's the universe working for you. That's the universe working for you. And I couldn't speak at the level of speaking that I'm now speaking, but I could feel I can elevate myself higher than what I'm used to. I can get higher than the nays that I hear. That all the woes, what on earth? Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrows. I could get higher than that, couldn't I? Yes, I could. From that, I decided, you know what, I don't want to be a factory worker. I think I want to go to college. So I went into the counselor and I said, I don't want to be a factory worker. I think I want to go to college. Her jaw dropped. That's not something people from my small mill town said. And as a matter of fact, my father was very disappointed. I'll get you a great job in the factory. What, are you crazy? I've been there for 25 years. You have a great job when you get in the factory. Dad, I don't want to be a factory worker. I started to feel something different, something calming deep inside of me.